Welcome back, toy fans, to episode 171 of Reynolds Reviews. And on today's episode, we've got some vintage Tron. Cue the march. Welcome back, everyone. Now, like I said in the intro, today we are going to take a look at some vintage Tron pickups. Now, Tron is something that I have loved ever since childhood. It's an amazing film. I've loved it ever since I was a kid, ever since I saw it for the first time around 1986. And I just thought the movie was amazing. Visually, it looks stunning. It was revolutionary for its time. Nothing had ever been seen like that before. And I just remember as a 7-year-old, which is when I saw it, it blew my mind. It was so cool. The way they sort of did that negative filming with those awesome, bright and colourful and glowing outfits. I just remember thinking this was mind-blowing at the time. Such a cool film. And I really did love the concept. I'm a huge fan of Jeff Bridges as well, and just loved it. So I've got some vintage Tron pickups to look at today, but if you watch the film, you'll know that there was something even cooler than those glowing outfits, and that was light cycles. And there we go, everyone. Released in 1982, these are two vintage light cycles from Tomy. Now, I believe they're marked up 1981, so I believe they were produced in 81 but released in 82. And how cool are these? It was a short-lived toy line. They only produced two vintage light cycles in red and yellow, and only 4 figures, which I am hoping to pick up soon. But these were kind of an accidental pickup, really. So before I carry on, I need to give a big shout out to James Morgan, because like I said, I'm looking to pick up the vintage figures, and I put a post on our toy groups on Facebook asking if anyone had vintage figures for sale. And James messaged me back and said, I haven't got any vintage Tron figures, but I have got the Tron light cycles. Well, I weren't really looking to pick up the light cycles at that time, but once he sent me some pictures and gave me the price that he was looking for, I just felt I had to snap them up. And I'm so glad I did, because just look at those. So the concept of light cycles in the movie was programs and users would be on the gaming grid, and at the touch of a button, light cycles would manifest and they would battle each other on the light cycle grid. And the way it worked, once the light cycle started, they give off a ribbon of light from the back, and they were so cool. They would turn at 90 degrees, and the idea was that you had to get your opponent to crash into your ribbon of light. And it was just such an amazing concept, and what a scene it was back then. So when these were released in 82, the way these worked, and I've got to be very careful, everyone, because they're precarious, they will fall over. These would go with your 3.75 vintage Tron figures, and usually these would come with a ripcord, and you would feed the ripcord through that hole at the back there. And once you fed the ripcord through, you would pull it out quick. This wheel would spin really fast, and then you would put it on the floor and they would fly across the floor. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any ripcords. I'm not too worried about that, because they're just going to go on the shelf as display anyway. I wouldn't use them even if I did. But they would fly across the ground and look so cool doing that. So they do have rubber wheels at the back, like I said, and that gave them the traction. Now, if you use them on a rough floor, like on a road or a pavement, the wheel used to take a bit of a beating and they used to get all chipped. These are actually in quite good condition. Obviously, there are a few scratches on them, but for a 40-year-old toy, just over 40-year-old actually, I think these look awesome and such a cool piece. In fact, let me just move that one to the back. So not only did they have the hole for the ripcord, so as you can see, this one's got it too. What you could also do then is they would actually open up and you could put your Tron figure in there. Now, I believe the yellow light cycle was Kevin Flynn's, so if you've got a Kevin Flynn figure, you could put him in there, swipe that ripcord and send Kevin Flynn flying across the gaming grid. And I absolutely love these. They are so cool. And like I say, back in the day, we only got 2 light cycles from Tomy and 4 figures. It was a short-lived line, but yeah, really, really cool. So very, very glad I picked them up. So again, big thanks to James Morgan. But you will have noticed in the clip area that there was an orange light cycle on the Good Guys team as well. That was never released, although I believe a modern version is available now. I think Matt over at Zero Hunter Toys has got that one. But you will also have noticed that the bad guys had blue light cycles, which they also didn't release. Now, NECA, back in 2002, for the 20th anniversary of the movie, did release some light cycles. They released a red, yellow and a blue light cycle with recoloured versions of the vintage Tron figures. they're really pricey now. They are getting up there. It's almost cheaper to buy the vintage light cycles, but I would like a blue necker version to go with my light cycles just to sort of complete the colouring. But another fan of Tron is Nick over at Only One Kenobi. And watching one of his videos in the last few months, he did influence me to pick up something else. So let's go take a look. And there we go, everyone. So this is the Eaglemoss Generation 1 Tron light cycle. Now this is a modern release, and this is 110% the fault of Nick over at Only One Kenobi. So thank you, Nick, for spending my money. But Nick has also bought this. He's done a great review video, so make sure you check that out. I will leave a link to his video in the description below. But look at this. I felt I needed a blue light cycle in there, and I thought, you know what, for the price, I'll pick one of these up. Now, would you believe this was £15 on Zavvi? You can actually get them for £20 on eBay, and what a steal, because these look amazing. When I watched Nick's video, it looked unbelievable, and for the price, I just thought I cannot afford to pass that up. Now, Eaglemoss did release a red version and a yellow version, but strangely, they go for massive money. They go for around the £100 mark. Whereas you can pick this up for £15 and £20. Now, I can only assume the red and yellow ones go for more money because they were the colours that were released in the vintage line, so of course people want those more than the blue one. But I've got a red one, I've got a yellow one in the vintage version now, so I just thought for £15 I've got to pick this up and get a blue light cycle in my collection. But I mean, just look at that packaging. On the front we've got that obviously famous Tron logo. We've got first generation light cycle, we've got the blue light cycle with the ribbon of light coming off the back of it, and it just looks awesome. We spin it round on the side, we've got the light cycle again with Warriors Must Stay Within the Gaming Grid with the Eaglemoss logo, and then when we spin it one more time, we've got Tron light cycle there again with that famous logo, and just looks amazing. So like I said, this is definitely Nick's fault. He's influenced me, but I'm very easily influenced, but for that price I just thought I can't afford to pass this up. But let's get this opened up and just see what we've got. And there it is. So what have we got? So we've got the light cycle there. We have got, oh, what looks like a stand. Very nice. Got the Tron light cycle there on the bottom. So I'm assuming that is the stem that goes into the stand for the light cycle to sit on. And then of course we've got the light cycle itself. Now what strikes me straight away is this is big. Really big. Far bigger than the vintage versions, but it does look fantastic. So let's get this on its stand and we'll take a closer look. And there we go, everyone. So stand assembled, sat in its cradle, and I think you'll agree, it looks awesome. It really does. But like I said, opening it up, the first two things that were obvious straight away was, one, its size. It is really big, it really is, but it is nice and solid. And the second one, the finish is definitely more of a matte finish, whereas the vintage versions are quite glossy. You know, they've got a little bit more of a shine to the plastic. This one is more of a matte finish. You can see the black windows and the blue of the cycle itself has definitely got a more of a matte finish to it, but very much obviously in the style of a vintage light cycle. Now on the vintage versions, this in the inset in the wheel is a sticker, whereas this is 3D. That actually is 3D there, that comes out. The wheel, now the wheel, if I spin this round, the wheel, as you can see, there's no flat edge to it. It is straight round, there's no flat edge, whereas the vintage version, it has a slightly flat edge, and because of that they do stand on the shelf and they stand up, whereas this one, I've actually tried to stand it up without the stand and it just falls. So you've got to put this in the stand if you want it upright, which for me is a bit of a shame, because I would have quite liked to display it without the stand upright on its own, because at the end of the day these are light cycles, they should be on the ground. So the fact that it's suspended a little bit, I kind of want it on the ground, so I'm a little bit upset that it doesn't stand on its own. You've got to have it in the cradle and on the stand. But it is very nice, don't get me wrong, it's very nice. Now the wheel doesn't spin, so the wheel's solid, and the cradle, or the canopy, should I say, doesn't lift. So this quite literally is an ornament. It's not functional in any way, shape or form. However, the sculpt is beautiful and it does look great. It is nice and solid. When you pick it up, it feels nice and solid. It's nice and weighty. So, like I said, you know, it does feel like there's some quality there. And for the price, I just don't think you can pass it up. But it really is nice. And it's definitely in keeping with the vintage versions, and I think it will display nicely with them. Even though it is a little bit out of scale, it still does look awesome. Hopefully I'll pick up an orange one at some point in the future. I would quite like a NECA blue version as well, because they are very much the same as the vintage version, same scale, so that would look quite nice in there, but they are so pricey now. But it would be quite nice to get some of the recoloured figures as well. But I've got to admit, I am pleased with this, and I just think for the price, I'm not quite sure how you can say no to it. It is such a cool piece and definitely fits in with the vintage line. It's definitely in keeping. It's just whether you can live with the scale, because once it's on the shelf, it is bigger and it doesn't sit on the shelf itself. You have to have it on the stand, because there's nothing functional about it either. It is purely an ornament, but man, it really does look cool. I am so glad I picked it up, and I'm so glad that Nick influenced me over at Only One Kenobi, because I had no idea these existed. So if I hadn't have seen it on his channel, I still probably wouldn't have it now. But it's very nice. Like I said, there is a bit more detail there. That's 3D inside that wheel. That's 3D as well, and we've got the little sort of shine as if the wheel is spinning, very much like on the movie. But yeah, I mean, look, if you're a Tron fan, for the price, I think you've got to pick one of these up. It is so worth it. If you can get a red and yellow one to go with it as well, great. But as you saw earlier, they are very pricey now, and I can only assume that's because they're more desirable, because they're the colours that we've got the vintage line in. But yeah, very, very pleased to get this in my collection, and it will go lovely on my Tron shelf. Okay, so let's get everything back on the table and we'll wrap up. And there we go, everyone, everything back on the table. And as you can see, now everything is in the same shot. You can see just how much bigger that blue light cycle is. It absolutely dwarfs the vintage version, but I still think it looks really nice with them. It will display well on the shelf. I'm very, very pleased with it, but you can see just how much bigger it is. So thank you to Nick over at Only One Kenobi for putting me on to that light cycle. I absolutely love it. But another massive thank you to James Morgan for giving me such a good deal on the vintage versions. And of course, as you can see, I've thrown in my Tron Collector's Edition DVD and Blu-ray of Tron Legacy as well. Tron Legacy obviously is a follow-up from 2010. I absolutely love it. Now, in the collecting community or in the movie community, Tron Legacy don't seem to get a lot of love, but I love it. I think visually, again, it's stunning. Obviously, there's a lot more available technology-wise in 2010, but I actually think Tron Legacy is an amazing movie. And when you put them side by side, the 82 Tron and Tron Legacy, I still think they both look amazing for their own reasons. Personally, I just think they're great. But Tron Legacy was left open for a third movie, for a follow-up, so I hope that happens. But obviously, whether we can get people like Jeff Bridges, Garrett Hedlund, Olivia Wilde and Bruce Boxleitner back, I don't know. But it did leave it open at the end of Tron Legacy, so hopefully, I mean, I've always heard rumours about Tron 3, but it just never seems to happen. But maybe one day that will be cool. But Tron Legacy I may well touch upon in the future on the channel, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, there we go, Tron fans. If you like Tron, I hope you like this week's edition. So yeah, there we go, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by and giving me a shot. I hope you'll consider leaving a like and subscribing. And if you're one of my existing viewers and existing subscribers, thanks for sticking with me, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Leave any comments or questions in the comment section below. I always try to read everyone's comments and get back to everybody. And as always, keep collecting. I'll see you next time.
End of line, man.